All right, let's dive into a problem that I'm sure a lot of platform engineers feel, getting observability right, especially on GCP. The big question is, how do you build a foundation that's consistent, that's automated, and that actually helps your developers instead of slowing them down? Well, let's break it down. So just start with a quick gut check here. Think about your company. Does your backend team have their special way of doing dashboards, while the data science team has a completely different setup? And does every single new microservice mean some poor developer has to reinvent the wheel for logging and alerting? If you're nodding your head right now, yeah, you are definitely not alone. And look, this isn't just about things not being neat and tidy. This inconsistency, it's like a hidden tax on your developers. It's constantly draining their time, it breaks their focus, and it adds so much cognitive load. But the good news is, this is a tax you do not have to pay. We can get rid of it with a smart, automated approach. So let's just call it what it is, the observability tax. It's all that cumulative cost, all that time and energy wasted every single time a team has to reinvent the wheel for monitoring, logging, and alerting, over and over and over again. It's a classic death by a thousand paper cut scenario. I mean, look at this. It really shows you the two completely different worlds your developers could be living in. On the one hand, you've got the state of constant toil. Developers are bogged down building the same basic dashboards and alerts again and again. But on the other side, you have the dream, right? The platform engineered ideal, where developers get to focus on what they do best, shipping features. Because all that foundational stuff is just there. It's handled for them, for free. Okay, so how do we get to that better world? How do we make that happen? Well, the answer is we build an automated starter pack. This is our path, from that inconsistent chaos to real standardized clarity and, most importantly, speed. So what is this thing really? At its core, an observability starter pack is just a set of best practices, but codified. Think of it as infrastructure as code, usually written in Terraform, that your platform team builds and maintains. Then, whenever a developer spins up a new Cloud Run or GKE service, these templates just automatically kick in, giving them a standard set of observability tools, and they don't have to lift a finger to get it. And the thinking behind this is super simple but really powerful. First, the platform team gets together and defines the standards. What does good look like for any service at our company? Second, you automate those standards using a tool like Terraform, and the result? You completely slash the cognitive load for your developers. You're basically getting rid of all the guesswork and all that wasted effort. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's actually in one of these starter packs? Let's break down the 4 key components that really make up the core toolkit. First and foremost, you've got your basic dashboards. We're not talking about anything fancy or exotic here. The goal is to provide immediate, out-of-the-box visibility into the absolute must-haves: CPU, memory, latency, error rates. The golden signals. The stuff every single service needs, no exceptions. Next up, log syncs. And honestly, this one is non-negotiable. The starter pack has to automatically configure every new service to send its logs to a central spot, whether that's a cloud storage bucket or BigQuery. This is just crucial for debugging, for any kind of security audit, or, just for staying compliant. Okay, third, alert policies. The whole point here is to standardize alerts that are actually useful. We're talking high signal, low noise alerts for the things that really, truly matter. Think a sudden spike in 500 errors, or a service that's stuck in a crash loop. This way, you make sure the real emergencies never get lost in a sea of noise. And finally, there's a really great optional piece: tracing. Now, if you're dealing with a complex microservices architecture, the starter pack can include the basic setup for Cloud Trace, which makes it way, way easier for developers to hunt down performance bottlenecks that cross between different services. So we've talked about what's in the box, but what's the real payoff? What does this actually feel like for a developer who's just trying to ship their code on day one? And this is really the most important question, right? When we say developers get all this observability for free, what does that actually mean in practice? What's delivered to their doorstep the second they deploy a brand new service? I love this quote because it just nails the whole idea. The goal is to create an experience where the developer doesn't even have to think about setting up monitoring. It's just there. It just works. That's the sign of a truly great internal platform. So what does "it just works" really look like? It means on day one, with zero extra effort, a developer gets a pre-built dashboard showing them all their key metrics. They get an alert policy that's already watching for critical errors. Their logs are automatically being shipped to the right place. But honestly, the biggest thing they get? It's peace of mind. They can deploy with confidence, knowing their service isn't just some black box. Okay, I know this all sounds great in theory, but you're probably wondering, where do I even start? Let's wrap this up with a super simple, minimalist blueprint to get you going. Look, don't try to boil the ocean here. Just start with these 3 things. First, and this is critical, get your log syncs automated. Centralized logging is the foundation for everything else. Second, give every service a basic health dashboard with CPU and memory, the fundamentals. And third, create one high-priority alert for critical server errors. If you just automate these 3 things, you've already saved your developers a ton of time and headaches. And that's really what it comes down to. So I'll leave you with this question. Take a hard look at how your team works. What is the one single repetitive observability task that you could automate away right now? Find it, automate it. That's your first step.